Today's positive trading had some very strong bullish ramifications. First, as you can see, there was kind of a rounding bottom forming in the indexes. And then last week, after the Dow did a bullish engulfing signal off the 200-day moving average, gapped up, but it was having a hard time getting through this breakout area. What could be identified was the fact that when it sold off, the Dow came back up and closed right at the T-line, putting the valuation in the category of the uptrend was still in progress as long as they couldn't close below the T-line. Today's positive trading confirmed this move, but more importantly, told us that this sideways trend was now breached. This is a very strong bullish signal telling us we should be coming back up and testing this level at least on the short-term basis. The same analysis was applied to the Nasdaq. Again, kind of a rounding bottom, and now today's gap up through the 50. Not only was a gap up through the 50, but it also told us a sideways trend was now breached. There should be more upside. With the bullish potential of the markets, we could identify patterns setting up like in Micron, where we started buying calls and call spreads based upon this little kicker type signal or gap up from, I'm sorry, not a kicker, but a piercing signal right off the 50, up through the T-line, breaking out through this level, staying above the T-line, telling us we've got the prospect that this wave right here could be the same magnitude as this wave right here. The same scenario was applied to our recommendation on Western Digital. Again, a bullish harami right smack dab off the 50, a gap up, and then a breakout through this level, telling us there's a new dynamic. Also, wave 1, wave 2, now going into wave 3, and the strength of wave 3 was illustrated by the fact they were gapping up through the T-line, then they were gapping up through the resistance level, telling you there was no hesitation as far as the bulls were concerned at levels that everybody else was watching. And the alert for buying Nvidia was also illustrated by the fact that you had a resistance level, you had the little doji gap up, and then a gap up through that resistance level today told us also we have the prospect of coming back up into the trend channel. So witnessing these patterns and where the signals were occurring, especially right on support levels like the 200 and the 50, puts the investor with much more clarity in identifying where the bullish sentiment was coming into these trades. Because we know what strong signals occur, such as a Morningstar signal occurring right at this wedge breakout area, a positive open after this Morningstar signal told us that the wedge formation was being broken out, again putting us in situations where even though the overall market was choppy at the time, we could see where the investor sentiment was going to on individual stocks, putting us in positions where we had the big price moves. And just as applicable for telling us when it was time to be in a trend, such as the silver and gold stocks, today with the doji gap down, told us it was time to come out of these stocks, which is also very logical that if the fear factor was eliminating or being eliminated from the markets, that the fear factor was telling us that the gold and silver, now not being a hedge against fear, was starting to sell off. It was time to close out those trades. Candlestick analysis is merely the identification of what's going on in investor sentiment, and the signals and patterns will clearly show you when there has been a change of that sentiment. That'll be it. We'll see you in the chat rooms.